I'm Margarita Ventura, and I'm a bikini pro, and I've had my fair share of competing and dating. So today's topic is how competing affects relationships. And my co-host is Akim.
What's going on, guys? I'm your pro Akim Williams here, and today we have a very interesting topic. So without any questions, we get right to it.
Akim, how do you think competing affects your love relationships?
Wow.
Either like, I want to touch upon two competitors, a competitor and a non-competitor.
Well, I've been in both situations before. Mm-hmm. I've dated someone who, currently I'm dating someone that competes, mm-hmm. and also dated someone that didn't compete. Mm-hmm. And for me, I would say I would much rather somebody that compete, mm-hmm. because they understand what I go through, and we have that connection, mm-hmm. and they're willing to basically sacrifice when I need to sacrifice. In mm-hmm. terms of like I have to do a show, they are willing to basically, okay, you know, I'm not going to bring the junk food around or stuff like that while you're actually prepping for a show. Mm-hmm. So it makes your life a lot less complicated, mm-hmm. when you date somebody. For me personally, when you date somebody that mm-hmm. basically does do the same thing that you're doing. But
what about people who are already in a relationship, or maybe they're married and it's a little bit more complicated, they have kids, they're starting off competing, I mean...
Well, I would think if you're already married and you're doing, whether it's a man or a woman deciding to basically do a show, mm-hmm. you should already establish that bond or that connection, that your relationship is strong enough to basically withstand something as competing. Because it could be stressful. It could be very, very stressful in terms of a lot of people would not or is not willing to understand the majority of the stuff that you do, you know, in terms of like you said, eating freaking broccoli 7 days a week, mm-hmm. or eating 5 ounces of fish, mm-hmm. 7 days a week.
There's the social aspect.
Exactly.
You might be not going out to eat and wine and dine.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think this is a topic that competitors who are, especially who are new, even if they're seasoned, it's always going to come up about your relationships. Competitors, non-competitors, how to find balance. What is some really great advice that our viewers can take away with, you know, there has to be balance, there has to be acceptance and understanding, support and loyalty.
I would probably just say setting boundaries. For me and my girlfriend, basically we set boundaries in terms of, you know, if somebody uses something from the refrigerator, let's say, you know, you have a carton of eggs. Yeah. And, you know, she uses it, you know, and she uses all of it, you know, it's her job to replace it. You know, and if you could set those boundaries and, you know, have that understanding, then your relationship would function very well.
Yeah. And so for myself and others who may be involved with someone who is not a non-competitor, like, I think you have to take accountability and responsibility for yourself. Let's talk about eggs. Mm-hmm. I mean, my boyfriend now, like, we're always running out of eggs. Mm-hmm. So I come with an army of eggs, because I'm like, I have to eat. And he's adopting the fact that he can eat more, and he's actually embracing it, not as a competitor, but like he's like, I want to be Wolverine too. I'm like, yeah, you get to eat more protein. So if you make it fun for the other person and they're truly supportive, they'll go along with you and find balance with you.
Now, a very, very interesting topic that I've always gotten a lot is the whole no sex before competing part. So let's say you have a...
What are you talking about?
You have a significant other.
I thought for women,
don't
cortisol
compete.
Levels.
Yeah,
if you make her come, her cortisol levels balance out.
Okay.
Because she's not so stressed out.
Fair enough.
This is different for guys.
Probably.
What do you mean probably?
Well, if let's say you're dating someone that doesn't compete.
You don't have sex before you compete? Because really. I always want to.
Not really. Yeah, of course I want to. Being a bodybuilder and stuff like that, and I think it's the same concept as being a boxer, you know. Yeah. You don't want the whole wobbly legs and stuff like that, you know. So
I guess the last week is pretty intense.
Yes.
And you know what? This is something that people can, you know what? Everyone handles their week right before they step on stage differently. But I learned right before I step on stage to take a week away from everyone.
Everything, exactly.
Yeah, just because it's going to be very hard for me to say no to sex. I love it. Mm-hmm. But it's just my hormones are all out of whack. I don't want to make the other person feel unwanted. So I've literally put myself in a different place. Either I'll say, hey, can I stay at someone's apartment? Or I'll take myself out of my element, take off work, and take a vacation and go right into a competition. And I'll see that person on stage and then have my meal afterward, and then it's just a sex fest after that. When you started competing, I know I can recall which relationships were affected first. But when you first started, for all the people that are just starting out competing, what relationships were affected first? Good and bad.
Good and bad. Wow. I would have to say, personally, I think my job relationship suffered the most in the beginning.
Yeah?
Yes. Because my family, you know, they are a little bit up and down about the whole competing thing. You know, my mom never really supported it. Now she tolerates it a little bit, but in the beginning, you know, she was a little bit like, what are you competing for? What's the point of it and stuff like that. But as far as going back, I think my job suffered the most because when you live a bodybuilding lifestyle and you spend so many hours in the gym, you tend to exert yourself in terms of putting out so much energy, training and lifting and dieting and stuff like that, that you have no energy when you decide to do your quote unquote real life stuff, which is your job, because not every bodybuilder has the luxury of, you know, living the whole bodybuilding lifestyle. Some of us got to work and stuff like that. So your job can really be affected by it.
And you had to like build your competition prep around work.
Exactly.
So it was like waking up super early, training super late.
Exactly.
How did you feel like at work people were reacting to you when your body was changing?
Well, I remember a few times, even not the whole circumstances of my body changing, but the fact that I was always tired. So there would be times when I'm actually at work and I would be falling asleep.
Yeah.
Of course.
You're doing the head bob.
And I could give you examples of a few times my bosses, you know, caught me sleeping. I'm not going to lie to you. I couldn't help it.
I remember, you know, and my full-time job is in the corporate world in advertising. And I remember getting pulled off of really great accounts because I wasn't going out to lunch and eating the way the other girls were. I wasn't hitting the cardio classes with them. It was pretty lonely. Even though they so-called embraced wellness, it was that other kind of wellness, and I was made to feel a little like I was an extremist, and I understand it is extreme, but I felt like I was getting control of my life. I was actually, yes, I was tired, but I was more productive at work. I was more disciplined at my sleep. I felt better. My body was changing. But I think females react to aesthetics a little differently.
When you start competing, you ever notice that even your friends change?
All my friends changed. And you know what's funny is I started hiding it from my friends.
So you could be normal.
So I could be normal, so that I wouldn't make them feel bad about their food. Because talking about food and fitness can be sometimes talking about politics and religion. It's just like you don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
And then my body started to change. The funny thing is I came from dance. So my body had been that way. But there's something more acceptable about that. Bodybuilding is a subculture.
It is. It's a very...
yeah. I mean, I always say we welcome all, but not all will understand.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Anyone can bodybuild, but not everyone's going to understand.
It, of course.
And so I have lost some really great friends. I don't know if they're so great now, but because I wasn't so forthcoming. And I don't know that I was very forthcoming with family either, because I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. I just knew it was something that I want to do for myself. So I started to find deeper friendships with some other bodybuilders.
I think it also affects a family in terms of in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because you know, you go to your mom's house and she make all that good home cooked food, and then all of a sudden you're her son who she's been cooking for her entire life and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you don't want to eat the food. Yeah. And then she's thinking like, well, what's wrong with my food? Is my food not good enough for you? Yeah, it becomes
like, and you're like, it's not like I'm insulting you. It's just that like I'm like the calories, the this, the that, and but yeah, I think that everyone who's starting out needs to be prepared for that. I don't know that every coach prepares you for the mental strength that you need.
So what is your funniest restaurant story in terms of like you go to a restaurant and you're trying to get something to eat and you couldn't get it to eat?
Okay, so when I first started, I have two. One was at a barbecue, not so funny, and the second one was pretty funny. So when I first started competing, I did that thing where I had to like be very public about that I was competing. I started to learn very quickly, you don't need to be so public. You can do it in a very discreet way so people don't make it an issue. And I was at a barbecue and I said to my boyfriend at the time, hey, do you think it would be okay if I ate this chicken because of the way it was cooked? Another wife heard and was like, oh my God, you're asking him if you can eat a chicken? Like, what's wrong with you? And it was a whole huge ordeal, you know, in front of everyone. And I remember saying to myself, that's not working. So let me try doing that differently. So then when it became to, you know, in my business, going out to eat, wine and dining and business dinners is very common. So what I started to do was eat my meal prep before I even walked in. So I tried to keep my diet off the table, meaning like don't even talk about it.
I have a very, very funny story.
Yeah.
So I was prepping for a show.
Mine weren't very funny.
Prepping for a show. And, you know, you go out to a restaurant and sometimes you're sitting at the table and it's taking a little bit longer than usual. So I ordered something very, very plain. I think it was like grilled chicken and something that didn't have to take a lot of time to do. So while I'm at the table, I'm hungry because first of all I'm dieting, and I'm waiting and waiting. So I'm not sure how long the wait was, but to me it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting and you know, bodybuilders start playing with my hands. There's happened to be a table, one of those with salt.
Yeah.
So I took a little bit of salt and I poured it on the table and I had a MetroCard at the time. At the time I was still in the city.
Oh man.
And I started playing with the salt, so it started looking like I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, the manager comes up to me and he's like, excuse me, sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave the restaurant. So I'm like, why? What did I do?
I'm just playing with salt.
He said, well, somebody came to him and said that reported that I was using drugs in the restaurant.
You're like, I was just hungry. I was just counting my sodium.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just being harmful, counting my sodium. But he said somebody said I was using drugs in the restaurant. So I had to basically explain to him that it was just salt from the table salt dispenser or whatever it was.
Yes.
Oh my God, he felt so embarrassed. He apologized like a million times. Good thing about that was the whole meal, everything was
it comped?
Exactly.
That's great.
So it turned out okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, so for everyone that's starting out, like I think every seasoned bodybuilder who's dedicated to this lifestyle can all relate. My best advice, especially to women, is like just don't make it. I started to say it's for health. It's for health reasons, and that pretty much like silenced anyone's commentary because you don't want your diet to be the topic of 15 people at a table talking about your diet. You just want to like not eat what they're eating. And now I'm able to, like, especially on the off season, able to order the things that I need to order and not make it a huge ordeal.
I would personally say that in terms of relationship and stuff like that, you just have to find people that accept you for who you are and basically are willing to basically accept what you're doing. In terms of your relationship, still try to maintain a relationship with everyone, your mother, your peers, your family, friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, because in response to that, there's still life after bodybuilding. And after the shows are over, you're still going to have those people in your life. So you don't want to alienate them and basically put them out of your life because you're doing a show, because while the show is important, at the end of the day, you're always going to need people, and you know, bodybuilding is a one-person sport, but at the end of the day, you need so many people to come together to help you to achieve your goals. So just keep those people in mind and just understand that not everybody's going to be there doing it or doing what you're doing, and basically understand why you're doing what you're doing. As long as you understand why you're doing what you're doing, just keep it and stay focused, and you'll achieve your goal. Yeah, so it's best with bodybuilding to also find some balance within yourself and in your relationships. I think that's really great advice. Thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode. I'm your host, Akim Williams. And I'm Margarita Ventura. Make sure to subscribe to GenerationIron.com and follow Generation Iron on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and also myself on IG at Margarita Ventura Fit, and Akim. IFBB Pro Akim Williams. That's right. See you guys later.